Well, let's get after this again. It looks like this time I was sent the correct kit for my club car. And so I went through and made sure all of the parts were there with the hardware, got the instructions. And I was already started on disassembling when I realized I had the wrong kit. So what I need to do now is remove the bolt right there and spindle and the leaf spring. And then there's a nut over there for the drag arm. And so I'll do that on both sides. And then I will be ready to go on to the next step. The lower shock bolts and the spindles to the leaf spring are off, and so is the drag link. Drag link's up here, it kind of fell down. And based on the age of that, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the drag link and as well as the shock absorbers. I have new shocks on the way. Figure I'm here, the stuff's pretty cheap, so I'm just gonna go ahead and next on the list is to remove the 4 A-arm bolts and nuts. They are 14 millimeters, so I'm just gonna put a wrench on the backside and put a socket here with a ratchet and should be good to go. Okay, so I got the spindles off. And so the next thing I'm gonna do is remove the leaf spring. It says suspension assembly, but there's 4 bolts right down there. You take those off and then the leaf spring assembly will come off. Okay, leaf spring is taken off. It was just 14 millimeter ratchet socket and a wrench. Pretty simple. So it looks like now I need to start putting this together, and then I will be installing that where that came from. Pretty straightforward. Next I'm going to be putting together the A-arms and all that. So I've got these arms, they're gonna go in here. I've got some bolts and stuff there. Also the leaf spring is gonna go underneath here. It's gonna go across and it's gonna attach here with this. This is gonna go there. The top of the leaf spring is gonna be on there, and then this will go through here. All right, I got that together, and so the next step is going to be to lift this up and get it started on there. It says to use a jack, but I'm just gonna manhandle it. All right, let's get it up there. I made a mistake. It looks like I accidentally forgot to take these nuts and bolts out. Got 4 of them, looks like 14 millimeter, so I will do that real quick, and then I will use those to attach this. Actually, I'll use my new hardware. Got some new hardware right there. Yes. All right, I got that on there. Oops, excuse my finger there. Let's see. Next, I think I'm gonna do the upper arms and the spindles. No, she's getting close to wrapping this up. Next, I will be installing this arm right here. It's gonna kind of hang out over here. And that's gonna be where the shock absorber is gonna attach. And I'm also getting new shocks. Just to install these rod end bearings and these nuts. I'm going to install one on each side with a nut here and a nut on the back side, and then we'll do one here with one nut. So I'll do that real quick and come right back. That is done. I didn't really do it to any specific depth or anything like that. I'm going to adjust that later. But that is on. So next will be to add the spindles, and I'll just do one on each side. Should be pretty easy. All right, I got it all installed. So the last thing I need to do is just kind of button it all up, get it tight. And then I will adjust the alignment and everything after I get the hubs and bearings back on, and then the wheels, and I have to do the rear also, but that will be another video. Talk to you later. All right, I got the suspension all done. And so what I'm gonna do now is put this hub assembly together so that I can install my new wheels that I got. I'm gonna take some grease that I have here and pack this all up, put it on there, and I will tighten down the nut that holds that, and then I'll be able to put the wheels on. I got the wheels and tires on the front. You see, they look pretty good. My alignment is obviously way off, but I'll fix that here. I can adjust it all on the rods there. But yeah, I think it looks good. I am on to the rear now. So first thing I did was loosen the lug nuts, and then I jacked up the golf cart And I removed the lug nuts and the wheels, and now I'm about to remove the nuts at the end of the U-bolt right there that goes around on each side. And I'm supposed to start with the passenger side first and just loosen them. Then on the driver's side, I'm actually going to remove them. Well, I just got to a point where I realized I didn't want to go any further because the bushings and the leaf springs in the rear are non-existent. Yeah, so I'm not going to be doing that until these bushings come in. Then I'm going to drop the axle down. Leaf spring goes on top of that. We're going to add these blocks here and the centering plates, and we should be good to go. So we're going to stop this video here, and part 2 will commence with the rear suspension going on, and then the rest of everything that I'm going to do. I'll break them down into a couple other videos too. Stay tuned. Let's do this. I have my cart mostly apart, so I'm gonna go ahead and start my wiring now. First thing I'm gonna do is run the wiring for the headlights and the switch, and then the horn and the brake switch. So I'll get after that. Then after I start doing this, I will install the dashboard. So let's get after it. All right, before I go any further, it looks like I need to install this new dashboard because I have that. So I undid the little switches and stuff back here, and they're gonna go in through here. Got one for the battery, one for the ignition. And then I'm gonna have to drill a new hole. That'll be for my headlights. My horn switch is gonna be attached to a little stock right here. It's gonna be on the column. So yeah, let's get this thing held up. We can drill the pilot screw or holes and then attach it. I have the dashboard in place, held up with some masking tape, and I've got it to where all the holes right there are where I want them to be. What I need to do actually is drill through these. I'm going to make a pilot hole with a small bit, and then I'll go back with a little bit bigger and install some self-tapping screws, and then this should be ready to go. Moving right along with the install. Got the dash here. I've got my buttons put in there, my switches, sorry. So now I am going to install the horn. It says to find somewhere under the cowl. That's where the wire harness is going to go to. And so what I'm going to do is take the horn and I'm just going to put it right here. I'll use a self-tapping screw to attach it. But there's a nice spot where it fits. And yeah, should be pretty good. The wires will be easy to run right up here. I got all the other wires going through there. So yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick. And putting in the screw, self-tapping screw, it decided to break off in the aluminum there. So I decided just to use an existing hole. I used a bolt with some nuts and washers and just stuck it right there. So same deal, it's gonna work just fine. Next up is to install the brake switch. I'm not really a huge fan of the design because this part that says brake is supposed to go on here, it's supposed to screw it in, but it's bigger than the area it's supposed to fit in. So when you do the parking brake, it's gonna get in the way. So I'm not really happy with that. I may just leave that spot undrilled and then trim it later. I'm just gonna screw these other 5 screws in and attach it that way, but again, not very pleased with this. Here it is. Again, like I said, not the biggest fan because of this right here. If I went any lower, then these other screws wouldn't fit. So yeah, this is pretty stupid. You'd think they'd be able to do that since it's supposed to be a direct fit for this car. Next thing on the agenda is to add the turn signal switch to the steering column. So what I'm gonna do is disconnect the wiring harness because this part is a little big to fit through the hole in the dash there, but this little connector's not. So I'll just disconnect those and then hook them back up after that. So that will mount here, and then there's a escutcheon or trim piece that's going to cover it, and then I will put the steering wheel back on. I got the turn signal switch installed, the little cover plate, and makes me realize that I need to change out my steering wheel after putting on this new dash and suspension, wheels and tires, and painting the body, putting on different headlights and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's time to do that. But next I'm going to start running the wiring harness through the body pieces here, and then I will be ready to put on the front cowl. So yeah, let's get after it. First section of the wiring harness is complete, or the front section that is. Got the, whoa, my cow fell over. I got the pieces for the headlights here. Got the horn hooked up. Here's all the extra slack from the headlight switch and the turn signal switch and all that stuff. Got that tucked in there. I don't even know what this does. It says something about headlight upgrade headlight power. So we don't have that, so I'm just gonna tape it up and make sure nothing shorts or anything like that. But it is on to the middle and rear of the cart. Right, I got the front of the wiring harness all set up, and so I went ahead and put on the front cover. So I'm gonna start doing the little bumper thing down there and start moving my way back. Now where I need to stop because I'm waiting on the leaf spring bushings to arrive, and I don't want to put the back body panel on because it will seriously reduce the amount of room I have to work on things. So what I'm gonna do now is focus my attention on the seats. I'm gonna redo the upholstery on those. They are white seats. I'm switching it to black. I'm going with a purple and black theme on this. And yeah, so what I'm gonna do first is take off the frame around the outside of the back seat here. Take that off. I'm gonna leave the existing upholstery on. Just gonna wrap this other piece around it, and then I will use my staple gun to staple it down. It should be pretty quick, so I'll keep us updated. Got one of the headrests disassembled. Unfortunately, I found that one of the little screws holding it in is now rotted through the wood. I'll figure out how to do that. It probably will hold in just fine with the 3 remaining nutserts that'll hold the bolt on there. But I might put in some filler with the nutsert and see if that I can get it to stay put. In any case, I'm gonna take the covers out now, try and put it on there, and we'll see how it looks. Well, I got the rear suspension installed, and I started to film it, but there were lots of curse words and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, the rear was so much harder than the front. A lot of the leaf spring bushings and their little sleeves were just stuck. The bushings were gone, and the metal sleeve had just kind of become one, fused with the bolt, and so it was really tough getting all that out. But I got the shocks in, got the plates on there, got it centered. Everything is looking good. However, I did notice that my wheel studs are a little short, so I'm gonna replace the wheel studs are on here in a day or two whenever they can get in. But yeah, making some progress. Time to get the back put on. We're ready to go. Rachel is doing the upholstery on the new seats. Well, actually on the old seats, new upholstery. Just stretching it out, using a staple gun to put it on there. We've got the cart mostly finished. As you see, it's lifted up, it's painted purple. I'm gonna paint some of this trim black. We're gonna make the bumper look better. But we have new headlights, turn signals, a horn, new dashboard. Totally need a new steering wheel now. And yeah, we're finishing up. Looks pretty good. What do you think? All right, here is the finished product. Rachel reupholstered the headrests and the seat. I think it looks great. Nice and smooth. Looks a lot better than the old faded white, but now we totally have to redo the steering wheel. Right, Madeline, what do you think? Yeah? All right, good. Anyway, so this is the cart now. I think it looks pretty awesome. A lot better than it did before.